Welcome back students to this lecture series. I am Assistant Professor Prerna Raite from Department of Microbiology, MVP is SVKT College Devali Camp. This video series it is arranged for TYBSc Microbiology students for their extra subjects or skilled subjects, that is waste management. Through this lecture series we are going to study how waste water is managed, how it is treated, and how the sludge is disposed. In the last lecture, we have started with the introductory part of this lectures, that is wastewater technology. What is wastewater, how it is used, or what are these types of wastewater treatment. Then we saw the conventional wastewater treatment processes, which are divided into different stages: preliminary stage, primary, secondary, tertiary, and then advanced stage. In some cases, advanced treatment is also given to the wastewater. Then in the last lecture, we have started with the first step of wastewater treatment, that was primary treatment, in which we saw two methods, that is physical treatment and chemical treatment. In physical treatment, we are generally using screening methods, grit tanks, etc. And for chemical treatment, we are using flocculating some chemicals such as flocculators, coagulators, etc. Now, in today's lecture or our today's session agenda is to again start with our introductory part, conventional wastewater treatment process. Then we are going to focus specifically on the secondary treatment, in which we are going to study two methods of this secondary treatment, that is activated sludge system and trickling filters. So today we are going to basically we are going to depend upon, or we are going to see these two methods in detail. Our objectives for today's learning are to give introduction to wastewater technology, then secondary sewage treatment methods we are going to see. Now, sewage or wastewater. Waste water, that is water after being used, is called as a sewage, which includes generally household water, toilet waste, industrial waste, and rain water. Now this sewage, it should be treated, or it has to be treated before it is discharged to the rivers and seas. As we know, there are number of chemicals, number of pathogens which are present in such type of sewage. So before or prior to discharge to the rivers or sea, it should be treated. So for such treatment, wastewater plants are developed. Now, amount of sewage, how much sewage is produced. Now it is habit of people to use more and more water. As they are using more and more water, large amount of sewage is generated. Now, time of the day and season, average amount of sewage which flows through a sewerage system in 24 hours is called as dry weather flow. Now this sewage, it may create number of health issues. First is they create a nuisance or unsightliness and unpleasant odors. It has large number of organic matter, so it may lead to the different unpleasant odors. Then this sewage, it is a source for breeding of flies and mosquitoes, which may these flies and mosquito, they may lay their eggs in such type of water. And then pollution of soil and water supplies may occur. Contamination of food also occurs due to this sewage. And due to all this, there is increase in the incidence of disease, especially enteric and helminthic disease. It may lead to the diseases such as malaria, dengue, some food contamination, food infections may occur if such type of sewage is not treated. Importance, why it is important to treat this sewage. First is, it is wastewater treatment, it is a fundamental to protect the health of many different ecosystem. It is a main thing to protect the health of many different ecosystems. Then wastewater properly treated, it is a source of water for many purposes. We can reuse this water for many purposes. Good wastewater treatment allows maximum amount of water to be reused instead of going to the waste. So these are the important points for wastewater treatment. Now composition of sewage. What sewage has? Generally sewage contains 99.9% of water and 0.1% of solid, which may be in the form of organic, inorganic, in suspension or solution. So maximum it has water, so it can be reused. The offensive order of that sewage, it is generally due to the presence of organic matter which may get decomposed and may produce different kinds of byproducts, and it may lead to the offensive order. Now this sewage, it has large number of pathogenic organisms. As we know, 1 gram of, if we take 1 gram of feces, it may contain 1000 millions of E. coli, 10 to 100 millions of fecal streptococci, and 1 to 10 millions of spores of Clostridium perfringens. And humans generally they secrete 100 grams of feces per day. So you can calculate how much pathogenic organisms are present in the sewage. So such sewage must be treated, or it may be disinfected too, as these organisms can be killed. Now decomposition of organic matter in the sewage, it takes place generally by two ways. The first and the most efficient method is aerobic treatment. It requires continuous supply of oxygen, so as all the organisms can grow in that sewage. So it requires continuous supply of oxygen. Here what happens, bacteria, fungi and protozoa, they convert organic matter into CO2, H2O, ammonia, nitrates and sulfates. The second method is anaerobic method. It is effective when sewage is highly concentrated with plenty of solids. As compared to aerobic method or decomposition method, this method is slower, and it has extremely complex mechanism, and it leads to conversion of that solids into methane, ammonia, CO2 and H2. So in this way the organic matter, it is decomposed in by two methods, aerobic and anaerobic. Now benefits of wastewater treatment. So what happens after wastewater treatment? What are the benefits? Now there are different benefits. First of all, reduction of waste, energy production, reuse of water, pollution control, fertilizer production and many more. Okay, so these are the benefits of wastewater treatment. Now the conventional wastewater treatment process, it is divided into different stages. The incoming sewage, it is treated in different stages. The first is preliminary treatment, where screening is done, grit chambers are used. Then is primary treatment, where both physical as well as chemical methods are used, and generally this primary treatment, it is a physical method of treatment. Then the water comes to the secondary treatment process, which is generally biological, where there is a role of organisms which decompose the organic matter. After the treatment, it goes to the tertiary or advanced treatment, which is mostly a chemical, where different chemicals are used for disinfection process. Sometimes UV rays are also used for disinfection process. So this conventional wastewater treatment, it is divided into different stages. Levels or steps of wastewater treatment. As I told you, primary treatment, the first stage is primary treatment. It is generally a physical process. The physical material, the floating material which is present, the solid material which is present, it is removed in this stage. Secondary is secondary treatment, which is biological process, where there is a role of organisms. The organic matter, it is decomposed by this bacteria into CO2 and water. So in this step, most of the BOD is reduced. Then is the tertiary treatment, which is advanced method or advanced stage, where generally chemicals are used to kill the pathogens which are present in the wastewater. So in this way, the wastewater treatment plant has these stages: primary treatment, secondary treatment and the tertiary treatment. Now if we see the flow chart of overall wastewater treatment process, so it is the flow chart of the treatment. Now you can see here, example is given: hospital effluent or raw sewage. it is collected. It is now it passes through different stages, bar screens, grit chamber, which is considered as a preliminary stage where the floating materials are removed by using bar chambers, bars, different screening methods. Grit, the sand or the gritty material is removed in the grit chamber, and it is the preliminary stage. Then the sewage passes to the primary clarifier, which is considered as a primary stage where you can use different types of sedimentation tank where the material is sedimented or with the help of gravitation it gets settled down. Then the primary sludge which is generated here, it is collected into the sludge digestion tank. It is considered as a primary stage. Then the sewage from primary stage, it goes towards the secondary stage. Most probably it is a activated sludge process on which today we are going to focus. Now this activated sludge process, it has an aeration tank. From that, then it goes to the secondary clarifier. In these stages again a sludge is produced. Some sludge is recycled to the aeration tank. Why, we are going to see in our next slides. And the remaining secondary sludge is again collected to the sludge digestion tank. Now this sludge, this sewage water, it goes towards the tertiary stage where disinfection occurs and the final effluent is ready for the disposal into the rivers. And the sludge which is collected, it can be dried and it can be used as a fertilizer. So this is a flow chart for the wastewater treatment plant. Now today we are going to focus on the secondary stage, types of sewage. Now there are different types of sewage. Mainly there are three types of sewage. Domestic sewage, which carries used water from houses, apartments. It is also called as a sanitary sewage. Second is industrial sewage, which is used water from manufacturing or chemical processes, generally industrial effluent. It is called storm sewage or storm water. It is a runoff from precipitation that is collected in a system of pipes or open channels. So sewage, it may be domestic, industrial or storm sewage. Now primary treatment. In the last lecture we have seen primary treatment. It is a process of removal of solid matter called as a sludge from the sewage. About 40 to 60% of the suspended solids are removed by passing this sewage through sedimentation tanks. Sometimes to increase the speed, we are using some chemicals or flocculating chemicals to add to remove the solid material which are lighter in the weight. This method generally or approximately it removes 25% to 35% of BOD of the sewage. Now BOD, it is a measure of biologically degradable organic matter in water. In the last lectures we have seen what is BOD. Then BOD, it is determined by the amount of oxygen which is consumed by the bacteria to metabolize the organic matter, and that is called as biological oxygen demand. Secondary treatment. Now this secondary treatment, as I told you, it is the biological degradation of organic matter in sewage after the primary treatment. In this process sewage is aerated vigorously to encourage the growth of aerobic bacteria and the organisms that will oxidize the dissolved organic matter to the CO2 and the water. So this extra step is given, aeration is given, aeration tank is there to provide lots of oxygen for the growth of aerobic bacteria. Two commonly used methods for secondary treatment are, the first is activated sludge and the second is trickling filters. Now we are going to see what are activated sludge system. It is a process or type of wastewater treatment process for treating sewage or industrial wastewater using aeration and a biological floc composed of bacteria and protozoa. So it has basically two steps. First is aeration and the second is activated sludge. So what is activated sludge? It is a sludge which is obtained by settling of sewage in presence of abundant oxygen so as to enrich with aerobic microorganisms. This activated sludge in sewage in presence of oxygen results into oxidation of organic matter which is present in that sewage and coagulation and flocculation of suspended and colloidal matter. Now under this activated sludge process, basically 3 steps or 3 processes occur, which are: first is oxidation, where the organism oxidizes organic matter present in the sewage into carbon dioxide, water and energy. The organic matter which is present in presence of oxygen and bacteria, it is converted into CO2, water and ammonia plus energy, and other end products are generated. The second step is synthesis. In this phase, the other microbes, they are converted into new bacterial cells using a part of energy which is released in the oxidation. Here organic matter in presence of oxygen, bacteria and energy, it is converted into new microbial cells. The third is endogenous respiration. Finally, the new microbial cells begin to consume their own cell tissues to obtain energy for cell maintenance. Here new bacterial, new organisms or new microbial cell tissues in presence of oxygen, they convert the organic matter into carbon dioxide, ammonia, water and energy at higher speed. So basically these 3 steps occur in the activated sludge process. Now this is some image of aeration or activated sludge tank. You can see the air contains oxygen which is used by aerobic bacteria in process of eating or degradation of organic waste. The activated sludge converts organic substances into carbon dioxide and water. These are some actual images of the activated sludge tank at the site. Now process, how it occurs. During the activated sludge process, the primary effluent, first of all it flows towards the aeration tank where it is mixed with microorganisms. The aeration tank, it injects steady supply of oxygen from the bottom or air into the wastewater, ensuring that adequate supply of oxygen is there, so as the organism they will use that oxygen and they will break the organic matter which is present in the effluent. Now the effluent then flows to the secondary settling tank. At this point the sludge goes in one of the 2 directions. In the diagram you can see first back to the aeration tank. This is because the return of the sludge contains large amount of active organisms that will now rapidly break down the organic matter. You can see aeration is given, how aeration process is there. Part of the activated sludge is returned to the aeration tank, and the second, it goes towards the sludge digester. The extra sludge which is collected into the waste sludge container. The treated water will enter the tertiary treatment stage. Here it will go through the final treatment stage before it is released into a natural water system. Now this is the flow chart of the activated sludge process. From the preliminary treatment, this sewage goes towards the primary clarifier and then it enters to the aeration tank, and in aeration tank aeration is given. The sludge from the secondary clarifier, it is recycled and it is called as activated sludge which contains active organisms, and through extra sludge it is collected into the sludge treatment and sludge digester, and afterwards it is treated and it is disposed, and the sewage from the secondary clarifier then enters into the tertiary treatment where disinfection occurs. Now there are some pros and cons of any method. The first is low construction cost. It has low construction cost. It occupies small area. It is means relatively low odor is produced. It removes high percent of BOD. Cons are high operating cost because extra aeration pumps are there. High energy expenses for oxygen demand. Now we will move towards the trickling filters. The second method is trickling filters. Now what are trickling filters, or they are also called as a biofilter? It consists of a basin or a tower which is filled with support media such as stones, plastic shapes or wooden slats. Now in this tower which has support media, wastewater is applied intermittently or sometimes continuously over this media. Now this, what happens, the organisms which are present in the effluent, it gets attached to the media. They get support in the form of stones or plastic shapes or wooden slats. They attach to such media and they form a biological layer or fixed film. It is also called as a biofilm on the surface of that media. Now what happens, the effluent which has a large amount of organic matter, it diffuses into the film where it is metabolized by the organisms which are present in that biofilm. Now oxygen is normally supplied to the film by natural flow of the air either up or down through the media, because aerobic organisms are present there depending upon the relative temperature of the wastewater and the ambient air. The thickness of the biofilm increases as new organisms grow. Now the incoming effluent is coming. So again large amount of organisms come into the trickling filter. So the biofilm, it becomes thickened, okay, due to growth of new organisms. Now this biofilm, okay, periodically the portion of the film, it's flow of the media. This material, it is separated from the liquid in a secondary clarifier and it is discharged to a sludge processing unit. The clarified liquid from this secondary clarifier is called as secondary effluent, and a portion is often recycled to a biofilter to improve the hydraulic distribution of the waste water over the filters. Now you can see this is a media, or this is a support media, which may be a stone, which may be a plastic or any wooden support. Now there is a formation of slime layer or biofilm on the surface of the this media. The influent flow or the effluent, incoming effluent, it has number of organisms which may get attached to the surface of this media and they forms the zooxanthellae slime or slime layer. The organic matter which is present in the effluent, it is consumed by that bacteria, and the extra thickened layer, it gets flow off from that support. Oxygen is supplied through air, natural air. Now you can see here, this that is the bed media, okay, anaerobic organisms, aerobic organisms. That is the microbial slime layer. It has both aerobic and anaerobic organisms. Now the wastewater, the organics or the organic material which is present in that wastewater, it is in presence of air, it is degraded or decomposes by the organisms which are present in the slime layer, and that organic matter, it is converted into CO2 and other oxidized products. So in this way the slime layer is present, okay, and the effluent is or the organic matter is degraded. Now this is the image from the actual wastewater treatment plant. You can see here there are some sprinklers, okay. Through that sprinklers, wastewater is continuously supplied on the surface of the media. At the base of that there is a media which is composed of stones, plastics, etc. Continuously it is sprinkled at the surface of that media. It percolates down. Now it has number of organisms. Organic matter is also present, and below that there is a collecting units or collecting pipes. The trickling filters, okay. Now we are going to see which are the main parts or components of the trickling filters. It has a rotated arm, as we have seen in the image, that sprays wastewater over a filter media by spray nozzles. Different kinds of nozzles are present through which this wastewater is sprayed. It has filter media which is made up of rocks, plastic, aggregates or other materials may be used. Generally size of the material is 25 mm to 75 mm in size. It has under drainage system. The treated effluent, okay, it is collected at the bottom of the filter for the further treatment. It has filter walls uh, which are made honeycomb to circulate the air. Sometimes ventilation duct is also provided. Depth of the media is 1.8 to 2.4 meter. Honeycomb structure wall is provided for circulation of the air. Now this is the, you can see this is a trickling filter. There is a center wall. There are rotating arms, okay, distributor arm which rotates. They have different kinds of nozzles through which the wastewater is sprayed on the filter media. At the bottom you can see there is a outlet box, okay, or outlet channel which is underground. In this image you can see there is a filter bed. The feed pipe is there through which the effluent is sprayed on with the help of sprinklers. These sprinkles are continuously rotating. Filter support is there, and at the bottom a collection of the effluent is there. After degradation or decomposition of the organic matter from the effluent, it is collected at the basement. Air is continuously passed, and the effluent collecting channel is also present at the bottom of this unit. Treatment efficiency, if we see how efficient this trickling filter is, a well operated low rate trickling filter in combination with secondary settling tank, it may remove of about 75 to 90% BOD, and but it produces highly nitrified effluent. It is suitable for treatment of low to medium strength domestic wastewaters. The high rate trickling filters may be single stage or two stage. They are recommended for medium or to relatively high strength domestic and industrial wastewater. The BOD removal efficiency is about 75 to 90%, but effluent is only partially nitrified. A single stage unit, it consists of a primary settling tank filter, secondary settling tank, and facilities for recirculation of the effluent. Two stage filters consist of two filters in a series with primary settling tank and intermediate settling tank, which may be omitted in certain cases, and a final settling tank. So in this way, this trickling filter, it can be arranged in different stages depending upon the type of effluent which is present. Now students, till this we have seen different methods, activated sludge and trickling filters in detail. Now you have some assignment which you have to solve. First, you have to explain in brief following secondary sewage treatments in detail. The first is activated sludge and the second is trickling filters, along with a well labeled diagram, and you have to upload all these assignments on the Google Classroom. Now if we summarize our today's lecture, what we have seen, we have started with introduction of the wastewater treatment. What is sewage, what it has, what is the composition of sewage, how much amount of sewage is secreted, it contains pathogenic organisms, different kinds of organic matter, etc. Different steps of water treatment, that is primary, secondary and tertiary. And in this lecture we have seen or we are concentrated on secondary sewage treatment by taking two examples, activated sludge system and trickling filters. Now in our next lecture, we are going to see a detailed process of the third stage, which is tertiary wastewater treatment. Along with that, what happens to the sludge? So much amount of sludge is collected. So we are going to see different sludge disposal methods. So we will meet in our next lecture. Thank you.